Major news update for XRP and XCN price predictions. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet as always. If you're new to this channel, like, subscribe, donate, become members if you want. 50% of everything I make goes to save animals' lives. And there's a reference link for the game that I always talk about. Somebody earned like 8 DOGE just in the past 2 days playing that game, going in playing a few buttons, and they earned some passive income. So check out that link. It's free to use. You don't have to pay anything or buy any NFTs. Let's look at Bitcoin because just the other day we were talking about it and we were saying, okay, it looked a little bearish, but with that closing, with the wick off, now it is starting to try and push a higher point and close above these previous highs. If we can do that, if we can get over that 70K, we can start seeing this push up towards that 200 EMA before getting a little resistance, forming the inverse head and shoulders as I predict. But again, nothing set in stone. This could be red in the next couple hours. But Bitcoin is doing a nice consolidation phase. War is taking place, so that's always beneficial for the market. And we are starting to see this curve a little bit upwards. But I actually want to bring in XRP for the people who are just here for XCN. Definitely take a look at XRP if you're not in it yet. And I want you to take a look at the news that is placed in front of us right now. So we see that XRP open interest plummeted 660 million down to 203 million, about a 66% drop, driven by Binance, right? And at the same time, XRP's volumes increasing by 25.11% to 3.33 billionis. Okay, so what does that tell you? We drop from October down 66% in the millions, but then we're increasing by the billions. Then Ripple's payment grows past $100 billion in volume as XRP liquidity on what? Binance. Strange, isn't it? Binance pushes it down by the millions and then pushes it back up by the billions. So there's something obviously going down here. We can clearly just look at the chart right here with the market manipulation being this major wick off right here in October 10th. You can see it on almost every cryptocurrency chart. We are working within this channel, but I have placed the Fibonacci retracement within this area. Yes, we could consolidate. Yes, we could pull back a little bit more. Ideally, we'd want to be holding support just above $1, but it could be pulling back all the way to around 90 cents before pulling back into the channel and start working our way to the upside. Altcoin season has been suppressed for this entire year. This is going to be a super cycle, and we're going to see some insane rewards when this finally does start to take off. And that depends on if Bitcoin is going to start its reversal right now or if it's going to play it out a little bit longer. It really depends on what kind of news is going to be coming into fruition. But we can see that simply and easily with Fibonacci retracement, full one retracement is here around 362. The next resistance is around $5. You have the opportunity to enter in a position at $1.39 on XRP. Simple like 4x right there before getting a little resistance, more than likely testing its previous all-time highs as support, and then it would be considered price discovery, and we could expect anywhere from 8 to 10 to 15 or even higher. XRP is buying up banking corporations. They have been doing this thing for several years, just stacking and building in the background. So what you see currently on the market is kind of nowhere near relevant. We've seen ETFs that will be starting around like $26. Oh, there's Sophia Varga again. So $26 could be the potential opportunity for us to even just be starting. When the IPO kicks in, we can start seeing beautiful things like this start to play out where we start hitting in these higher numbers. Then it is very easy to be hitting the $100 mark by the near future. I'm not saying the end of 2026, but highly recommended. Stack as much XRP as possible before this thing takes off, and then you start realizing the government's implementing taxations and they want to control the money, they're going to be using XRP to be paying people. Whether they're paying people in USDT or USDC or whatever US dollar backed stablecoin they want to pay in, they are more than likely going to be using the XRP ledger. And that is huge, huge news. The fact that you guys have the opportunity to enter, even though it keeps bleeding out at $1.35, you guys may have missed the opportunity at 50 cents. So keep stacking, because we are, like I was just talking about in the previous video, it's the internet loading. We're in the dial-up process. XRP has been doing dial-up for the past decade, and then it finally got released, and now we are in the process of the building section. And when we break out of this channel and hold this as support, it can very easily go back up to $3.65, $5 before getting a retracement, holding that support, and then taking off to the price discovery, which could be 10, 15, 25, $100. We've seen it happen with Bitcoin. We've seen it happen with many other cryptocurrencies. Look at Terra Luna, even though that was a complete joke. That went from like 40 cents to $120. XRP is completely undervalued. I cannot express that enough. The RSI is building higher lows. It's looking great. The information is completely irrelevant, more or less. But everybody is stacking this after this major liquidity sweep that happened on October 10th. We are pretty much tapping out at that point, and we can say that these two red lines here are the fair value gap. There is the possibility to enter within this area, but more than likely we are going to get support, start trickling towards this black downward trend line, which is also lining up with the 200 EMA. And once that's crossed, we can expect this thing to get slapped up easily to around 320, if not the 618 being 262, before a little consolidation push to around the 350 to 60. And then once that is broken, that would be about the fourth tap to the all-time high. Price discovery, definitely look it up, because price discovery is kind of what happened to Bitcoin way back in the day. Let's go back to when Bitcoin was practically nothing and use it as an example for XRP. So this is kind of where I got interested in Bitcoin in 2015. Some of you have seen it if you've been following my channel, but that's like, for example, let's use the very first point down here, 131, 171%, but essentially went up 500. And more or less, this is price discovery. This is what you see when you see price discovery. Nobody knows what the top can be. And Bitcoin went from roughly in 2017, $1,000. And at the end of 2017, in 1 year, $1,000 to nearly $20,000. Price discovery for XRP, since it is cheaper, you can start seeing some major, major pumps like what we saw in Bitcoin in previous history. Now, to keep this video short, for the XCN holders who are just dying to see the chart, it's been the same thing for weeks. I have no new information besides the fact that we may be forming a little bit of a W here. Yes, there's the possibility of a pullback to test this downward trend line once more. We've seen it many times in wedges, especially in crypto, where it pushes up, touches the top, comes all the way back down to the bottom. People start panic selling, they start getting out, and it pulls immediately back up to the top, breaks the downward trend line, holds it as support, and takes off yet again. And just doing the very, very basics, just looking at the chart and just tapping in, doing a Fibonacci retracement. Say we're right about there. The 618, if we can get above this downward trend line, is all the way up here around 3 cents. So for every less than half a penny, you can turn it into 3 cents. And you say, Neil, that's not a whole bunch of money. Well, it kind of is. That is nearly 506, or almost 6x your money if you're entering in at this point. And if you are entering in at this point, you guys should not be worried. You should just be holding on tightly, patiently, patiently waiting. let's wait for World War III to kick in and we can start profiting finally. That's just kind of the way that this is working. 618 on the bigger scale is all the way up here at 11 cents. That's just above the previous resistance around 10. So 10 to 11 cents is the next real resistance besides right here at the 7 cent mark. So keep in mind there are going to be pullbacks. For those of you who have entered in here at 0.004, do not panic sell on the way up unless you're going to scalp. I always recommend selling maybe like 20%, try and enter in at a little cheaper price, but sometimes these coins just keep running and you sell off and then you just want to buy back in and you may have missed the opportunity for those extra percentage. Hundreds of percent can be and will be coming our way when we break out of this wedge. RSI is also building higher lows. We are trying to hold stability over the yellow, and when this starts pushing up towards the overbought, we will see astronomical things happen for XCN, but keep in mind we want to see this hold as support. We want to see more than likely some resistance on the way up around 0.26, 0.31, and more than likely here around the 5 cent mark. On that way up, maybe piece out a couple 20% here and there, pay yourself some, donate if you want. 50% of everything I make goes to save animals' lives. And once we break that 5 cents, hopefully you guys are still watching the channel. We will be up and honing in on this day after day, making sure you guys are getting the best opportunities to profit. Good luck. Have fun with it. Like, subscribe, comment, donate, do all that good stuff. And I will see you guys on the next one.